Hi everyone, this is Sabrina Santa Clara and Sophie Jacobs, and this is the second series that I'm doing on psychedelic integration. This is the second preparation session that we're having. Sophie, when did we do that first session?
About 7 months ago.
Yeah, so it was a long time ago. So sometimes intentions happen and journeys are expected to happen, and it didn't happen. So 7 months later, Sophie is traveling to a place where psychedelics have been decriminalized, and so we are doing the second preparation session. Sophie is a friend of mine. She has graciously offered to be vulnerable and share her process in the interest of helping people learn. And I'm doing these videos because I am a psychedelic therapist, and I have my own cognitive dissonance around these pieces around how much I charge, how much I need to charge, and also how do we make this work accessible to people who don't have those kind of resources, or even clinicians. Psychotherapy trainings can get really expensive. And so my intention in this is to offer some more free trainings that are available that can be supportive to the psychedelic community, whether you are a therapist, a facilitator, or a psychonaut who is using psychedelics for your own journey. So we are now in April of 2023, and as I named, Sophie is a friend and is my personal assistant, and is also interning with me and learning how to be a sitter. And so for the purposes of this, we are holding the role, I am holding the role of facilitator, therapist, etc. And Sophie is holding the role of being the person on a journey, as she is going to be taking a journey. And we will de-roll at the end of this. So Sophie has enough self-energy to be able to do this, which is why she's been invited into this process and why she's training with me. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. So we had a session about 7 months ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, there were some parts that came up. And so I think it would be a great idea to check in with those parts, see how they're doing, what kind of attendance they need, if any. And also, it's an invitation for you to say, is there any other concerns or material that's come up for you that you're aware of?
Yeah, and I did want to mention this to you, like, at the beginning of our session, which is that I recently had an opportunity to go to a place that has decriminalized psychedelics, not just psilocybin. So I do have the opportunity now to either do MDMA, psilocybin, or a combination of both, which in our previous session, that wasn't actually something on my radar. We were just working with psilocybin as a prep, and now it feels like there might be different parts coming up for me because this is a different medicine, and actually one that I've never tried before.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring that up for you from the beginning because there's new material, I feel like, here.
Well, we'll just go in and we'll make sure that we check in with any parts around the other, the parts that came up before, as well as any new parts that may be up around this other opportunity.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So as always, let's just start with going inside. And I'm going to do the same for me to sort of just check in with all of our parts. Particularly new parts that come up around being filmed and being vulnerable in front of a camera, right? And just double checking in with those, if there are parts that are concerned about the camera, just checking in and making sure that they're okay. And that there's an opportunity to name if they're not okay.
They seem to be okay.
All right.
Yeah. If I can't see the people in the audience, I think it's
right.
It's okay.
Right. And for those people who are watching, Sophie and I have made an agreement that if anything comes up in which she's uncomfortable, this will not be presented on social media, and if at any other time it becomes uncomfortable, that it will be taken down from social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just checking in. Let's just start with breath. Remembering that when we're focusing on breath, we're actually focusing on breath just as a source of support. So we're not trying to make any parts calm, or we're not trying or efforting to make them anything different. So we're breathing for our own body and our own anatomy and our own spirit. And also offering breath as a source of support. And what are you noticing just sitting here and breathing?
I'm noticing a bit of tension in my forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And almost like a uneasy feeling, but it's not tied to nausea. It's like if you're on a boat and you're like, oh, the ground is not stable.
Mm-hmm. So a little vertigo-ish, a
Yeah,
little disequilibrium.
Yeah.
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 And so just checking in with that part. And how are you feeling towards it?
Makes sense. I've been doing some traveling, and there might be a part that's trying to like intellectualize this part.
All right.
Coming through.
So let's invite that intellectualizing part. In fact, can you just offer some appreciation for trying to help? And how does it receive that appreciation?
Yeah, it took a step back.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now you being in relationship to this kind of vertigo, uneven ground place. Is it aware of you?
It is, yeah.
And how does it feel towards you?
I feel like it's holding on to me. Like, it's trying to resource from me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like I'm still partially like blended with it.
Okay. And so just see if it's possible to unblend. And if you need more invitation assistance, we can do that. But really just let this place know that you'll be able to better help it if it doesn't grab on so tightly.
It's giving me some visuals. That I'm underwater. And it's not a strong current. There's like different currents going around, so like I'm just kind of ebbing and flowing with the currents.
You are, it is.
I am.
Okay. And how does this place feel about being underwater?
I feel like there's two choices
Mm-hmm.
that I'm not like, it's like I haven't made a firm choice about it. One being like moving into like destabilization of like getting like drowned by it, or like tossed to the sea. And then there's another one that's like feels that there might be a choice to just surrender to it, and actually it might be quite nice
Mm-hmm.
to just be like
Mm-hmm.
be in that movement, that fluidity, and not need ground.
Okay. There's the one place that holds sort of, it sounds like sort of the yumminess and the pleasure place, and
Mm-hmm.
another part that holds some kind of concern.
Mm-hmm.
Am I naming that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so attending to the place that has concern. How are you feeling towards it?
I'm feeling understanding of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it makes sense to me that it has concerns.
Mm-hmm.
It feels the way it does.
And can it receive you receiving it?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And does this part know that no matter what happens, easy ride or rough ride, smooth and flowing or rocky, that you'll actually be with it?
I think it's saying like, yeah, you'll be with it, but can I trust you to make the right decision?
Mm-hmm.
Like, can I trust you with the choices that you make?
Mm-hmm. So it really wants to be able to trust you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a word that's coming up for me again and again, which is like intimacy. It's like, and it might be, again, it might be this intellectual part that's like, oh, could it be the MDMA that's like bringing this out now?
Mm-hmm. It might be. Right? So just thank that intellectualizing part for giving us a curiosity. Let's take a breath, let it know it's done its job, and see if it's willing to take step back again. Again, stepping back are invitations, are not requirements.
Yeah, it stepped back.
Okay. And so let's actually ask this place that is feeling a bit of rockiness or the concern for rockiness. Let's just ask this part. Does it have a concern about the MDMA?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. Ask it what its concerns are.
It's worried about the intensity, that I won't be able to control the intensity of it, and it's bringing me back to a recent experience on retreat that, and I've never taken MDMA, as I mentioned, but what it felt like a heart-opening experience.
Mm-hmm.
But it also just opened like my sensitivity to a degree that was really hard to bear when I was trying to integrate.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's like, I can just notice some worry about like, yeah, this part is like, yeah, you know, it could be a good experience, but like, is it just gonna like make you so sensitive to the world that like you just won't be able to stop crying, or like you can't handle other people's intensity. Like, you just can't be in this world anymore because it's too much. There's just too much.
Right.
When you open your heart, there's always too much.
And so is that what happened last time? Right. So it makes sense. It really makes sense that it has some concern. Right? Are you still in the place where there's too muchness?
Yeah, I mean, even as I vocalized it, I could like feel myself like feel that part kind of intensifying in that sensation of overwhelm.
Right. So let's really let this place know that neither you nor I have any interest in overwhelming it. It's exactly why we're here to listen. And can it take that in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's feeling really soothed that it's making its voice known.
Yeah.
Like it's being paid attention to.
Right. And how are you feeling towards it?
Yeah, I just like almost just want to thank it for looking out for me.
Mm-hmm. And how does it receive that?
Feels like it can take a deeper breath.
Mm-hmm. And so really let this place know, just as we discussed in the first session, right? That the value here is we don't do any psychedelics without full consent of parts. And let it take that in. And no one's going to bypass it. And that making a choice to not do MDMA this time doesn't mean you couldn't change your mind in 6 months or a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually no need to rush.
I think another part is coming forward and saying like I can't trust that because how do I know that I'll have another opportunity in a place that is safe for me to take it and that's decriminalized? Like it's like the perfect storm of conditions, and so it feels like this pressure to
do it now.
Do it now because like, am I gonna be able to later?
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
How do you want to respond to that part?
Yeah, like I can see that it wants to offer me a beautiful experience, and that's coming from a very loving place.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense.
And is there a relationship between this current part and the part that holds some concern?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's their relationship?
Not so great.
How so?
The part that just wants to act fast and do it when the outer conditions are right and not check in with the inner conditions. It makes this part that feels like uneasy feel like dismissed and violated, honestly.
Right.
Like, I think that's honestly where the ickiness is. It's like, you're violating me. And I'm like, not. There's like a, a grossness in that
Right.
somehow.
So let that know that makes sense. And just see if the, outer conditions part, the gung-ho part, right? Can it take in how it's impacting this other part?
Yeah. I guess the violator uneasy part, it gave me a flashback that helped me understand, like, this isn't the first time it's felt this way.
Right. So it has some history.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So understandably concerned.
Yeah.
Right. And how does the externally focused situations part, how does that part respond to this information?
That part is really like taking it all in, almost like not taking a step back in terms of like disengaging, but like almost like, whoa.
Yeah, it doesn't want to be a violator.
No,
it wants to be
it
a helper,
it doesn't. Like, that's the whole point, is like trying to help.
Right.
And trying to like open my heart.
Right. Really wants goodness for you and your other parts.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see if that part can communicate that to the one that's been violated. It has really good intentions.
This part is the violated part is like, I don't care about your intentions. You did real harm.
Ah, so this part is the part that did harm previously.
Yeah.
Okay. So really let the violated part really show this gung-ho part how it's impacted.
Like how it impacted it?
How what it did historically.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was violating.
You consented to an experience that I didn't consent to.
Right.
And you like you tainted curiosity. It's like curiosity is not an innocent word anymore. It's like you plunge too deep.
Mm-hmm.
And
how is the other part taking that in?
kind of like just, whoa.
It didn't know?
I'm not sure if it didn't know. I think this part thought that it could just bypass the queasiness, and
Got it.
that like once it was in this experience of intimacy with another, so this like happened like a period of intimacy with another person, thought, oh, once it could be intimate, then that part would like understand its point of view.
Right.
And then just be on board with it. Because like, oh, you're experienced the loving now, so
got it.
There's a reason why I bypassed you, because I wanted this for you.
Right.
But that's
almost
not
like the ends justify the means, kind of a
totally.
Right.
Totally.
Right. And is it getting now how that really doesn't work?
Yes.
Yeah. And just see if it's willing to take accountability for that. I didn't know. I didn't really see the impact of its behavior.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Right. And see if it's willing to apologize and make amends. other place?
This other place is like, are you just apologizing to me so that you can violate me? Like, so that I can feel okay and then you can go forward with your plan. Like, this part is that's just like,
that's a valid,
not having it.
That is a valid question.
Yeah.
Right? So have the other part respond to that question. Is this apology really an act of manipulation, or is it apologizing sincerely?
I guess this part with the agenda doesn't know how to be itself. And, like, I guess this part is worried that the queasy, the uneasy part, violated part, is gonna shut me down from experiences that could be really transformative.
Got it.
And so, like, yes, it wants to apologize, but no, it doesn't want to, like, constantly, like, submit to this part.
Mm-hmm. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
All right. Is this part aware of you?
No.
Can you let it know who you are? That you're actually the decision maker?
There is something that is coming up around, like, the violated part is saying, like, it feels wary in particular contexts, like, around people. Like, taking a psychedelic around certain, like, relationally.
Yeah.
Rather than, like solo. It's saying, like, how, like, you're so easily influenced.
Mm-hmm.
And it's worried that I'm just gonna, like, autopilot sub, essentially.
Right.
Like, I'll have a sub part that just automatically just submits to an experience because of someone else's inspiration.
Mm-hmm. And how do you respond to it?
That is a very valid concern.
Right.
Yeah.
Let it know that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got these two parts. We've got the queasy part. We've got the gung-ho part. That's the languaging I'm using. Are those okay terms?
Yeah.
Right. And then, related to the queasy part, is the part of you that does sub and submits to other people's, right? And that's the part that sounds like it's concerned about. Am I naming that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see if that part is willing to come forward.
The sub part?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Since it's been sort of referred to, let's see if it will be willing to join this conversation.
Yeah, total protection mechanism. Total, like, the safest way to avoid intensity is to play dead. Like, is to submit.
Yeah. Let's stay with that tenderness. I think this is a really part that's really had to protect through submission. Am I naming that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let it know that you see it, you get it. How are you feeling towards it?
Yeah, a lot of compassion.
Yeah, me too. And do you see that part in a particular space or time or location?
Yeah.
Yeah, where is it?
There are 2 places. One is at a monastery, and then another one is like in my like family home.
Right. So if we were going to attend to one of those, it sounds like there's sort of 2 really strong aspects of this part, right?
Yeah.
Which one shall we attend to first?
I would say like the family situation, because I just came from that, and I think I've been autopilot subbing in that situation, and I think it's like just that momentum is just bringing me to this moment.
It really makes sense that it's here right now, right? And we all tend to go back when we go back. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, what kind of environment do you see this one in? How old is she? Ish.
Four or five, I think.
Right. So really young.
Mm.
Yeah. And where is she?
Well, now I'm just getting like a vision of being on my grandmother's sun porch when this is me at like 25, my current age, 25, being like yelled at
by your grandma.
Yeah.
So there's both the 4-year-old, there's a 25-year-old, and then there's the monastery 23, 22?
22,
Okay.
23.
Okay. So there's all these different ages that are in some ways holding the trauma around this submissiveness.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this. We can attend to them one by one. There may be even more experiences. Right? Let's try this. Are they all aware of you, being aware of them?
Yeah.
Right. So let's do this. Let's see if we can open a doorway in time to each of these aspects and any other that may be in the background. Almost like we could sort of suck them out of time and put them in present time. Like a time worm. And make sure it gets sealed behind them and just see if it's possible to bring them with you.
I can really feel that was just the best thing it knew how to do.
Exactly. It was the right thing then.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not necessary anymore. There's a you now. And are they willing to leave behind what was painful and uncomfortable and unfortunately necessary for survival?
It once again, well, what I'm saying once again, because I've noticed that when I move out of that submission, then I'm met with all of these really horrific visuals of being like hung, guillotine, crucified, like, and it's just like all coming to me.
Right.
It's not flooding, but it's just like a warning almost,
right.
coming from these parts of like, yeah, be careful.
Right. So more than one part.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like popcorn.
Right. So just check in. Do these feel like past life parts?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So some history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So deep breaths, Sophie. And so these flashes of images, guillotined,
Mm-hmm.
any others?
Crucified.
Crucified. And how are you feeling towards them?
Ugh. I guess really sad that it's just like unfair that being yourself would bring about that level of
Right.
harm.
Right. And so these past yous did not submit and paid the price.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Are they aware of you looking back in time, acknowledging them?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And how are they feeling towards you?
Really tender.
Yeah. And how are you feeling towards them?
A lot of love.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, I'm so sorry to go through that.
Can they receive that?
It's still painful, but yeah, like I think
Yeah.
there's some connection there. It feels like just such a powerful energy that's like connected to speaking one's truth.
Right.
And connected to like dampening one's truth. Like both of those energies are so powerful.
Right.
And I think both of it, there's like a fear part associated with both.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can notice myself just like twiddling my thumbs because it's like,
mm-hmm.
fear.
Yeah. So offer these past yous a breath. Let them know that you are their future. And just see how they respond to that.
I think they're very touched that I'm still here. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't think that I would be here.
Right.
They thought it's just
like
obliteration.
You die, and then it's over. And actually, it's just a transition.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So let them know that they were annihilated in the physical body in their eras. However, their spirit lives on in you. of you. They belong to you just as much as you belong to them. And how are they doing now?
I think they're in awe of how, like, their vision is being opened up right now.
Mm-hmm.
That moment of life being taken away, it's just such an intense experience. It's like so narrowed into that one scene that, like, offering them a bigger perspective is just like, whoa,
yeah.
what?
Right.
There's more than just, I'm gonna get killed.
Right. And that them making themselves known actually allows you deeper wisdom to choose when is the moment to speak truth and when is the moment to hold silence, which is different than submitting. You actually get to make choice, wise choice about wise action. And just seeing how they respond to that.
There was a question that came up of like, but if I'm really in a survival state, like, do I have a choice? Like, and yet holding space with them in that intensity with them gives me just like a little bit more confidence that it's not just an automatic submission. It doesn't have to be just like an automatic submission. Like, yeah, there's intensity. Like, yeah, there's pain. Yeah, like your very life, physical body is at stake, and like there's a way to even offer space to that, which honestly I didn't think was possible.
Right. And what's happening now?
Yeah, just offering breath to all of them and really feeling into like that phrase, like the truth sets you free. You know?
Yeah. Are they aware of the upcoming potential psychedelic session?
No.
Okay. But they are aware of you. Are they aware of you as their evolved future self?
Yeah.
Can they trust you to make wiseful decisions? Right. ask them, wherever they're located, if they're comfortable where they're at, or if they would like to shift their location.
Oh, they do not want to be where they're at.
Right. Ask them if they would like to come with you, or if there's some other place they would like to go.
Oh, they were like, really? We can come with you? Yeah, just like giddy.
Mm-hmm. And if they all want to come to you, then back to either a wormhole or some kind of doorway in time, or we can let their past be complete.
They feel a little bit like on edge about that.
About their past being complete?
Uh-huh.
Can you let them know that they can bring the wisdom of their past?
I think they have some attachments
Mm-hmm.
to that world.
Mm-hmm. So each of them or some of them?
Each of them. Actually, it's starting to sink in what you just said, the wisdom part.
Mm-hmm. They can keep their histories. They just don't have to live there.
Mm.
They can keep their memories. They can keep their knowledge. But maybe they don't have to live on the cross or on the guillotine.
I feel like there's just like no sense of that being a remote possibility. It's like, wait.
Right, so let them just sort of take it in.
What?
Yeah, it's a lot we're giving them, the possibilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different paradigm.
It's almost like too good to be true.
Mm-hmm. And reaffirm for them, it is true. You don't have to stay in the painful place. Or the scared place. You've been there long enough.
They're asking me like, what about this area is any different though?
About this area?
Era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're here. It doesn't mean that threat isn't still here, but you're here with their wisdom and your wisdom. There's always potential threat and always potential freedom. And as wisdom holders, gives you much different options in this era. And just see how they're responding to that information.
They're really being soothed by my breath, and that like they couldn't have access to it on their timeline.
Right. Are they out of their timeline? They're somewhere in between.
Yeah, yeah, but they're also like, what is going on?
Yeah. Let them know that totally makes sense. It's a big shift. And let them know there's no rush. We're just here to serve them, to help them, to bring them home.
There's a visual coming back of the ocean, like being in the ocean, like my full body, but up to my neck. So like I can still breathe.
Don't have to be underwater.
And I want to be there.
In the ocean?
I want to feel like the bigness of that.
Right. Do they want to be in oceans?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they do.
Let's bring you all into oceanness. Let them just be in that flow of much bigger than one timeline.
It almost feels like the ocean is literally all of my timeline, every single person's timeline, but the only difference is there's just one breath, breathing it.
Not even your breath?
It's not mine.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, there's no ownership.
Right. Just breath. I have a curiosity if it feels okay. And go back and check in with those two parts we started with. The one that feels violated and the gung-ho place. Where are they? Are they observant to this process?
I feel that like they're just enjoying the breath. But I do notice like a little bit of throat tension that I can imagine would be from a part, like a maybe like a fear part.
So not these two parts, a different place?
It still could be around like the violation. Like don't obliterate me or something. Like don't.
Does that make sense? Doesn't want to be obliterated? Yeah, it holds its wisdom too, right? We don't want to obliterate your wisdom. Right? The parts that have had challenging experiences and painful experiences. And how do you respond to its request to not obliterate it?
I'm finding it difficult to like maintain presence. Like it keeps bringing me back to like a scene.
A different scene?
No, it's the same scene. Like, I don't know if this is like too much to like share on. I'm fine with it, but it's like kind of a lot. It's kind of like if I don't know, I almost like want permission to like share it because
So just check in and see if there are any other parts of you that have concerns about sharing this muchness in a public venue.
I think it's okay sharing it, but we'll share it in a particular way without like
maybe all the details.
All the details, yeah.
Right. And if it wants to share details later off camera, it can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So allow it to speak what truth it needs to speak in the way that it needs to speak it.
It's being violated, like physically and emotionally, and then there's this like song. I think it's an actual song, like don't you worry child, because heaven's got a plan for you. Like it's as if like all of this violation is like in service. Right. Like I needed to do it.
It's hard to bear sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you respond to that?
Really appreciating it for like feeling safe enough to like bring that forward.
Yeah. How's your throat tension?
It's still there. It's not like squeezed up, but there's still like there's a little bit of throbbing.
And just ask that throbbing what it needs.
It wants to like say curse words, like it just wants to be like, no!
Yeah.
Get off of me! Like this is not okay.
Yeah. So really give it permission to do that now or at any time in the future. It has a right to a no, and to a voracious no, a strong no.
Yeah, like it
a
really,
hell no.
Like a hell no. Like
a fuck you, hell no.
Fuck you.
Yeah, it has a right to that at any moment.
It's like fuck you for bastardizing like something sacred.
Yep.
Like I will not allow it. That is not okay.
Right. So notice the place that has the I will not allow it. And really let it know that you're in support of that. Like it doesn't actually have to do the boundaries and the no all on its own. And how is it receiving that?
Yeah, it's feeling supported.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if there's anything else it needs from you.
Yeah, like it's needing like attendance, like wise, nurturing care. To parts of it that, or like parts of my system that I kind of bypassed or dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's like, no, actually, like, give me breath too. Like, I deserve breath too, kind of thing. Like, you can't pick and choose here.
Right.
You
and
know?
you can't say a good, strong no without good breath support.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there some kind of commitment you need to make to this place?
Yeah, like giving breath to whatever's present.
Right.
For whatever parts are present, really.
Right.
And like being gentle.
Yeah. How's it receiving that?
Yeah, it's calming down a bit.
Okay. Because it's necessary for all parts to be in alignment and provide consent, just check in and see, does this place and is this place aware of potential psychedelic session?
Yeah.
And how does it respond to it?
It doesn't want to do MDMA.
All right. So let it know that you hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Does it want to do psilocybin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let it know that you hear it and respect it. And really appreciate its truth telling. You really want it to know that its no will be respected.
Yeah, I could just feel my throat like,
Shoot.
yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, I guess I was like trying to push that a little bit,
right?
Without
even kind of really knowing.
Mm-hmm. There's also a part that's a little deflated and sad, like, oh, we were gonna have like a new experience. I was gonna have a transformative time. Like, oh, it would have been great, blah blah blah. But this feels more like honoring.
Right. So give the part that's a little disappointed permission to be disappointed. And you can also let it know that if it ever has a no, you're going to respect it with the same care. And how does it respond to that?
Just like relief.
Yeah. And so, since we have oceanness and universal breath sort of in the zone, I wonder if these two parts would be good for them, interesting for them, if they would like to go join the others in oceanness.
Oh yeah. They love to.
Yeah, I'll let them know that they really communicated what they need to, that you've received it, and they deserve to be in breathness and oceanness.
Yeah, my mind feels quiet. I mean, it's just like I don't really have anything going on.
So, because we worked with some parts previously, I don't want to ignore them. Right? So there were some parts that came up in our first session, the part that just wanted to go out and play. There was a vigilant one. Right? few other places, just do a call out to them. And see how they're doing now.
The part that just wants to play is still feeling a little burdened by, or like, it's like I'm bringing that with me, like a recent experience that it had been burdened with, that it's like carrying.
So a recent thing that's been added onto it?
I guess just a triggering of of the burden that it has already felt like it's had to carry for a long time.
Right. So ask it if it would like to be alleviated of that burden.
It's saying like, I just want to go outside and not have anyone like scream at me that I'm going outside and not loving them. Like,
right. For going outside.
For going outside and playing. Like, I just want to go outside and play. Like, don't yell at me because I want to do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be punished for choosing that.
Right. And so she was punished. Right. And how are you feeling towards her?
Like, I'm feeling sorry. I wish she didn't have to deal with that.
And how does she respond to that?
Connected to me?
Does she need anything from you for future choice making around environments that you're in? Does the question make sense?
Not really.
Okay. So you were recently in an environment, right, where she got yelled at. Was the environment a safe environment? Okay. Does she need you to make different choices around her safety?
It almost feels like a catch-22 because if I did, I feel like it would be even more unsafe. Like, to set a boundary to prevent that environment would create more of the thing that I don't want, because the very problem was setting a boundary and doing my own thing.
Right. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. So it's just like there's a part that's just like defeated and just like, nah. All right. Well, this is what it is.
So, for the time being, would it be okay if we help her to let that burden go for now? And then make a commitment to that defeated part and that one that's holding that, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. To really go back and attend to her at some future day? Okay. And so in the meantime, that ick that she was carrying that got thrown on her, how would she like to get that off her? You can have her bury it, burn it.
Burn it.
Great. So let her sort of take it off her, or you can help her with that in whatever way that needs to happen. And set up the fire in whatever context that needs to happen, so that doesn't have to be on her anymore. She can just go out and play.
It's like I'm imagining this like cloak of invisibility that's like bloop.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually feels like layers. Like I keep
Mm-hmm.
feels like an onion or something.
Yeah. So let her take off all the layers. Let that invisibility, or however it's happening, let it just continue to happen. So she can just be fully her. Without all the judgment and ick. But there's no parts that withhold her from her playful nature.
I'm finding like as I'm visualizing it, I'm in the same environment where it happened, but that doesn't feel safe to like
Right. Well,
so I'm like, okay, well,
let's get her
now
out of
where
that
do
energy.
I want to go?
Yeah. She can come anywhere. She can come with you here. She can go hang out in the backyard. Right. There's a stream nearby. She can go anywhere that feels good for her to let all that milk go. Did you find a spot that feels good for her? Great. And let me know when all the burning is done. And now let's invite into her body, into her psyche, into her cells, into her very being, all the permissions for play. It's good and right for her to be playing. She has a right to play joyfully without any limitations and to do what she loves. Go where she loves to go, to move how she loves to move.
Yeah, I'm seeing myself on a trail,
Mm-hmm.
like a forest trail, like looking down a lot, like seeing the little life on the ground and just like getting really close to things and just observing them.
And so taking another full breath. Thanking her for showing up and for revealing the burden she's been carrying. Thanking all your parts for showing up and revealing what they've revealed, for the wisdom they bring you. And coming back to preparation for this psychedelic journey, see if there are any other parts that have any concerns or who are not on board. And know that being on board doesn't necessarily mean they have to join you in the journey.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
it's like I don't get any like negation, but there is a request to like be outside at least for part of
For
it.
some of it?
Yeah.
All right, so let them know that you hear that.
Like I think there's some sort of worry that like being indoors will
Feel too tight,
Mhm.
all right? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
All right. So let them know that you can accommodate that in a way that also is respectful of your body and the weather,
Mhm.
right? As it's still a little cold outside. Depending upon where you're at, you can make sure that her needs get taken care of and your body needs get taken care of. Is that fair?
Mhm.
Great. Any other parts that have concern?
There's like just like slight tension in my throat, and I think it's like bringing back the dynamic of like the really like eager part of being like, oh, like no, like we want everything on board.
Is it still focused on the MDMA, or is it we want everything on board in some other context?
Well, when you were asking me about like just like the journey and being related to like psilocybin, I can still feel a little bit of throat tension, but like I don't really know where that's coming from, and like there are no visions or like words that are coming up for me. It's more so maybe like while I'm doing it, like make sure I'm like advocating for the right dose, advocating for like if I need to go outside and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let that place know that even with psilocybin in your body, you can still make choices. You can be in relationship with psilocybin and in relationship with your parts.
Yeah.
And how's that throat tension doing now?
Yeah, it's relieving to hear that. And asking the question, I think it feels like spotlighted in a way that's like trying to get something out of it, but it feels a little bit like, yeah, like it feels like it needs to like offer something or
Does that make sense to you?
mm-hmm.
Is there anything else it needs?
Water and to go to the restroom after that.
Me too.
Take care of your needs. Yeah.
All right. So again, thank all those parts for showing up. For all the ways they've held material and burdens, and for their willingness to trust you in this process. Yeah. And whenever you're ready, coming back into our space together.
Yeah, it did give me one more piece of information, which
Absolutely.
was like, yeah, take time to yourself, like meditate, and then the right need will come.
Mm-hmm.
Just like make sure to do that before. That's what it's asking me.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for trusting me.
Thank you for holding space.
Mm-hmm. So, as always, Sophie, I'm a fan of de-rolling when we're using friends and loved ones as our sort of experimental peeps. So I really appreciate your being willing to be vulnerable and to being vulnerable online. I think that takes a certain amount of courage, and it's really kind of bodhisattva energy, right? I think that we do it in service to help others.
Mm-hmm.
So, in light of de-rolling, I am not your therapist or facilitator. I am just your friend.
Yep. And I'm not your client. I'm just your friend.
Exactly.
And personal assistant. But
and intern and right. So, what do I want to say to the group? At some point, I may go back over the videos and start putting in some, languaging around what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, but that requires a lot more time than just doing a video and putting it up online. So for now, this is just going to be the video. And for those of you who are IFS trained, you will notice that I didn't do a perfect session. It wasn't a formulaic IFS session. There were points when we were working with, can't remember which part it was, and that I didn't do the let's get this part out of the environment.
No.
And you were like, oh, we need to get that part out of the environment, right?
Yeah.
And so know that, one of the things that Dick has said is that the system auto-corrects, right? And so if I don't do something perfectly, it's fine. The system will autocorrect, or will give me a really big message that I missed something. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's go back to that, right? And so, there are things I noticed in languaging, like, I think at one point I asked, maybe it was this session, the last session, I asked something like, ask that part what it thinks, or I use the thinking term, which isn't really something I really want to cultivate, because we all have these thinking parts that have a tendency to get in the way. So know that if you see little things that you question, oh, is that right? It probably wasn't, right? So as long as I've been doing this for 5 years, right? It's not like I've got a playbook, right? And we're human. And so I guess my point in naming that is you don't have to be perfect to be of service, right? And so part of this practice of putting things online is being able to hold the vulnerability of like, hey, I'm not perfect and I still can do, and I can still be of service, right? Yeah. What else do I want to say? You can probably cut this part out. So, Sophie will be with me. I am doing a very intimate retreat in Winters, California, the first weekend of August. Sophie will be my assistant in that. I believe I may have another assistant as well. We'll see. So if you want more information about that, feel free to contact me, and I will talk about that privately. The other thing is that Sophie has done a lot of amazing training, including she's doing training right now in circling, which is a really beautiful way of offering connectivity that will be brought into the retreat that we do. She will start seeing clients. Right now she's doing some retreats and some other things that are occupying her time, including assisting me. So she will start seeing clients probably in the fall. And if you're interested in working with her, you can always go to my website, because at some point I will add her in amongst my many tasks of things to do, and we'll provide some more information at the end of this video. And I hope that it was of service. Many blessings to you all, and safe journeys. Bye-bye.